chapter 1, starting at verse 6. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. He came as a witness to testify to the light so that all might believe through him. He himself was not the light, but he came to testify to the light. This is the testimony given by John when the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, "Who are you?" John confessed and did not deny it, but confessed, "I am not the Messiah." And they asked him, "What then? Are you Elijah?" John said, "I am not." "Are you the prophet?" John answered, "No." And then they said to him, "Who are you? Let us have an answer for those who sent us. What do you say about yourself?" John said, "I am the voice of one crying out in the wilderness, make straight the way of the Lord, as the prophet Isaiah said." Now they'd been sent from the Pharisees, and they asked him, "Why then are you baptizing if you are neither the Messiah, nor Elijah, nor the prophet?" John answered them, "I baptize with water. Among you stands one you do not know, the one who is coming after me. I am not worthy to untie the thong of his sandal." This took place in Bethany across the Jordan where John was baptizing. This is the word of the Lord for the people of God. Thanks be to God. Amen. John, the one calling for us to prepare the way, the one warning us to repent, the one baptizing with water, the one providing warnings. Now the gospel, according to St. John, tells us, just starts off with his big introduction, there was a man sent from God whose name was John. I find that we today are a lot like those priests and Levites who ask the obvious question, "Who are you? Who are you?" Except maybe our question is more complex. It isn't simply a question of identity, but rather we want to know the purpose or intention. What have you to do with us? John the Baptist, John the forerunner, John the precursor. And what are we waiting for? Of course, we know that what we're waiting for isn't a what, but a who. That's what we're waiting on, is a who. And actually, it isn't a what or a who as much as a how. Keeping in mind that who and how have the same letters in them, just mixed up. It's the way in this case. Because John not only points to the who, the one who comes, but he also tells us how. Maybe that's a little confusing. Let me clarify. John tells us how to wait for the one who's coming. He tells us how to live while we wait for the one who's coming. He tells us how to be while we wait. And I know for many of us, waiting sounds kind of passive. Right? Doesn't it? I'm just going to sit here and wait. It sounds kind of passive until you read about how John the Baptist does this waiting for the one who's coming. Because he waits with vibrant personality. You can tell he dresses quite the fashion. He's got that leather belt, animal fur thing working for him. And don't even ask, if he asks you, would you like a bite of what I'm having for lunch? Say no. It's going to be bugs dipped in honey. What is it, honey bunches of bugs? Is that what his favorite breakfast cereal is? That's my favorite joke from last week. Should have wrote it in here. That was good not to do again. But he's got this vibrant personality. He seems alive in his waiting. His very anticipation seems to be alive. He seems almost gleeful as he shakes off every one of these guesses from these real smarty pants that come out from Jerusalem. All these questions they're throwing at him, he just goes, nope. Nope, I'm not the Messiah. Nope, I'm not Elijah. Then who are you? What are you? John just smiles and says, I'm me. I'm the voice. I'm you. I'm us. All of us leaning into what is coming. All of us knowing that what is isn't what is going to be. That's who I am. That's the one, he says, I'm the one who hopes, who knows peace. I'm the one who embraces joy with fierceness, with a tenacity. That's who I am. Deal with it. I think he'd fit quite well in our social media today. John would. And did they deal with it? Well, I bet not. They probably left us confused as when they arrived. They were after some answers to things, and they just didn't understand. But even though these priests and Levites who were sent out from the Pharisees in Jerusalem didn't seem to understand, I think the crowd seemed to know something, or sensed something, because they come out. They keep coming, right? I don't know, maybe they wanted something of that fierce joy that they saw that John had. The way he lit up, talking about the one who was to come. Because they came in droves, our Bibles tell us. They waded into the water, looking for this new start. That new hope that John promised and proclaimed. They started clinging to something in John that built them up. I mean, they were desperate for a new way of living because the old way of living wasn't working. They wanted a new way of being alive in the world because they just felt like they were going through the motions. And in John, they saw that way. Maybe it was in their words, in the words of John that they saw, because he pointed to the way. He promised that a new way of being is on its way. We got to be ready for when it gets here. In fact, the Gospel of John, if I would have read the very next verse, John says, this guy could be right among you and you wouldn't even know. I'll know it. Very next paragraph in our Bible says, and the next day, Jesus showed up. Here comes Jesus walking the next day. The next day, John saw Jesus. I think we're desperate to see that too. To see him. To see Jesus, aren't we? Desperation. Isaiah understood desperation. That's a fact. The people in the latter part of this multi-theme prophetic book understood desperation. All right? If we broke Isaiah down into two halves, the first 40 chapters and then the rest of it, we recognize that there's two moods in Isaiah. The very first half, when things were going great for Israel, all right? There was going great for the people as a nation. There was a mood in Isaiah warning them. He was warning them and he was telling them there's going to be some judgment for what you guys are doing. He was saying, pay attention. No other book in the Old Testament says pay attention more often than Isaiah. I mean, he just kept repeating, pay attention to what you're doing. Look at what you're doing to one another. Look at how you're living. Look at the source of your wealth. Look at the foundations of your society. Does your socioeconomical system reflect your status as a people of God or a people of this world? Look at yourselves and pay attention. Second half of Isaiah. Isaiah is speaking to a desperate people, a people who've lost everything, who are hungry, who are afraid, who are homeless. They're refugees without status or rights. So the mood shifts, and the tone of the book is starkly different. Now they don't need a warning. They're beyond warning and judgment. The judgment's been here. They need a word of hope. They need a promise. That's what they need. And a call to live. Even in desperate times, a call to live by a different standard. To embrace the fierce joy of living as the people of God. You still got that. You can still do that. No matter the circumstances in which you find yourself, you can still do that. And I get it that things are bad. You can take my word for it. But Isaiah comes to the people and says just two words. Two words we'll hear an angel tell some scruffy shepherds in the middle of a field outside of a nowhere-built town. Good news. Good news. Good news for the oppressed. Good news for the brokenhearted. Good news to the captives and prisoners. Good news to those who mourn. And I know you're saying, great, what's the good news? What's the good news? I mean, we look at Isaiah, what do they get? It's what Isaiah tells them what they're going to get from God. Right? He tells them, hey, God's going to give you some garland and some oil. Going to give you, and a new mantle, a new coat. Going to give you those. You got those coming for you. Look for those under the tree this year. What? I mean, where's the, as a people, with nothing, where's the promise of wealth and goods? How about some food, a banquet? Where's the promise of vengeance? Where's the righting of wrongs? The Bible tells us God comes to people who are desperate. And in Isaiah, it tells them to decorate. What he says. I know it doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem enough. Decorate. I mean, decorations are nice, but they hardly seem to make things better. We certainly can't count on them to change the world. Or can they? Can they? Why do we bother in the end? I always think, are we just shouting in the darkness? And, well, yes, in a way. I'll give you that much. But I have to tell you, shouting in the darkness is a noble profession. It's a noble profession. It's a calling. When we shout, when we decorate our homes and our church, we're not saying that we're unaware of difficulties in our lives or in our community. All right, we're not saying that. We're not saying we're oblivious to all the bad news we saw on television or in the paper or on our media devices. No. We're saying that we choose to live by good news. We're saying we choose to live by hope and not despair. But what keeps this from becoming a rose-colored glasses type scenario is a prophetic call to act. To act in hope. I mean, if we look back at Isaiah's words, the Lord brings the good news. The Lord, through the prophet, proclaims the year of the Lord's favor. But then we are the ones. Our job begins because we're the ones who help to bind up hearts that are broken, to set people free, to do the rebuilding. I mean, we work because we believe. We build because we hope. And because we hope, we are blessed. And that blessing is lived out in a fierce joy, in an all-in-your-face kind of joy that says, no matter what might happen to me, I choose to trust in God. That's the fierce joy. A fierce joy that says, no matter what my individual feelings and inclinations might be, I'm going to join with the community in doing good in this area. So we light candles. We light candles. We light every candle we got. All right? We light candles. We put up garland, not to just look pretty. And I don't know that we win the neighborhood decorating contest, Brian. I know Beverly tries every year, but I don't know which pew gets which bow. But she took pictures this year, so we'll know next year. I don't know if we're in it for a contest, but I know what we're doing. I know what we're doing. According to Isaiah, we're doing it. And what we're doing is we're declaring that darkness is not the final answer. No. It's the fierce joy that sustains us. I mean, it's the fierce joy in community. Being part of the believers, the chosen assembly that worships here in this community with our neighbors, with our friends in our workplaces. A fierce joy needs to be seen. A fierce joy that enables us to be those light bringers, to be the people sharing the hope, because the world is desperate to see again. The world has gotten used to walking around in darkness and believing it's light enough. We've seen the light. It is Jesus Christ. And with great hope and great joy, fierce joy, let us share it. Thanks be to God. Amen. Amen.